Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we're going to be talking about probably the most popular question that has ever been asked about Game of Thrones, and that is who will end up sitting on the Iron Throne. Now I wanted to make this video to sort of hype people up for the ending. I know everyone seems depressed and sad about the writers, how they're taking the show, but listen, our favorite show is coming to an end, and I just want to bring hype. Quickly, before I get into my thoughts of each characters and if they're going to end up on the throne or not, I want to ask you, who do you think will end up on the Iron Throne and why? And I made this video because there's only 2 episodes left and we're going to get really close to see who ends up on the Iron Throne. Now we could see it at the end of the next episode, but we will definitely see it in the ending episode. Okay, just before I start, I just want to say that this is one of the biggest shows and it's coming to an end. They won't put a side character that ends up winning the Game of Thrones. I like Gendry, Tormund. I'm just using Tormund as an example because he's sort of like a side character, but he's also like a mainish character. You know what I mean. If they're going to end up putting someone in the throne, it's going to have to be a huge main mega character so it could satisfy the most people. Okay, I'm going to be talking about like 4 characters who I think will end up on the throne, and I'm going to talk about what I honestly think is going to happen at the very end. So yeah, let's get started. Number 1 is Jon. I think Jon will probably end up on or Aegon Targaryen actually. He will end up on the Iron Throne. There's 3 reasons. I think number 1, he's gonna kill Dany after she's killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people in King's Landing. If she does go mad, I don't know with the way the show's taking it, but the way the show is taking it, I feel like yeah, she is gonna turn mad, and Jon will be eventually the one to put an end to her. And obviously, once she's gone, everyone's gonna hail Jon as their new king, and he's gonna be in the throne. Number 2 thing that I see Jon doing is he will burn the throne and go back to the north and declare each part of the 7 kingdoms independent. Now this is the main thing I was going to talk about in the end of the video, but let's save it for later. And number 3, the way I see the Game of Thrones story is all about Jon. Since the beginning, I think it was about Jon, and it's gonna end with Jon. So that's another reason why I think Jon will eventually end up on the Iron Throne, if he even does want it, because he's 100% he's gonna have the choice to pick, because I don't think Dany will be around to compete with him. Alright, let's move on to Sansa and maybe even Tyrion. I'm gonna do these 2 together. Okay, so for Sansa, I have there was a bit of foreshadowing when Sansa and Dany are talking, and Dany says, in all the 7 kingdoms, men will live without fear and under the rightful queen. And then the shot pans to Sansa, so that is just a little tad foreshadowing right there, if you ask me. And another way I see this happening, if all the main characters die, the people with the claim to the throne die, then I think they're gonna sort of form a vote and they're gonna pick Sansa as their new queen, because obviously she has the love of the north. And I think that's just, if all these main characters don't get it, then I think the next up in line will be Sansa, because I feel like they're sort of building her up to do this. Also, Arya said that she was the smartest person she's ever known, and I think they said that for a reason, potentially. And the final thing is that she is a student of Littlefinger, the monster, one of the smartest people in Game of Thrones, or was the smartest people in Game of Thrones. But she's a student of Littlefinger. She's gonna get her way to the top one way or another, and I think we could see Sansa in the Iron Throne. Let me know what you guys think. And quickly, I just want to talk about, because I think if this is going to be together, I think Tyrion and Sansa could potentially rule, so I want to talk to Tyrion. I'm not going to make like a whole thing about it, but I'm just going to quickly talk about him. I think Sansa and Tyrion are up to something. When Sansa tells about Jon's true heritage, we don't get to see that in the actual show, but you can tell that she's gonna say it, because she says, what if someone else rules? Out of what I remember, out of every time they've talked, they never really showed it. They're trying to make this seem like a little mysterious thing that's happening between Sansa and Tyrion, and I honestly think they could rule. And how ironic would it be that the same man that everyone has made fun of, the same man whose own father wanted to disown him, is going to end up being king. Can you imagine the dwarf being king? I could possibly see this, guys. Okay, and let's move on. Next up, we have Gendry. And now I think Gendry, like I said in the beginning, I don't think side characters will end up on the throne, but who knows what the Game of Thrones writers are up to. But to be honest, he does have the strongest claim to the throne. And I mean, we'll see how this plays out. And I think at the end, if everyone does somehow die and he's the only one left and he has a true claim, then I think he will decline it and he's gonna stay Lord of Storm's End. I'm gonna be honest, I don't see Gendry ruling the Seven Kingdoms. That would just be unsatisfying if that does end up happening. But you never know. Again, Game of Thrones writer, a little bit wonky, and we'll see what happens. Now, what you probably all been waiting for is Dany. My thoughts on Dany. Listen, guys. I know it's pretty obvious at this point, but I don't think Dany will make it to the end of the episode. I think Dany will die. There's no way she lives. I don't see this at all. At this point, the show, basically the way the show is showing Dany is that she's very eager. She wants to rule. She's sort of transforming into this mean, like, just I want to rule, I want to rule, I want to rule. Like, and if you ever watch Game of Thrones, that is not how you get up to the top. That is not how you get the throne. I don't think she's gonna live. I think she will 100% die. The final thing I want to talk about is that Game of Thrones is ending, so the throne must end too. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the throne will get destroyed. I don't know by who. Jon could end up being the last survivor and he could just decide to burn it or get rid of it, and I don't know how it will happen, obviously, but I do think the throne will no longer exist at the end, and I think each of the 7 kingdoms will declare independence. That is probably the strongest theory or solid possible ending that I choose, that I think is going to happen. I don't think anyone's going to rule at the end. I don't think the show's going to want to give anyone satisfaction. And I do 100% see the throne being destroyed and declaring independence for the 7 kingdoms. Everyone going back to where they belong, and it's happily ever after ending. But you don't know. At the end of the day, it is Game of Thrones. It's meant to shock you. Twisted turns, everything is happening. Alright guys, that has been the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, let me know who you think will end up on the Iron Throne and why. If you've made it to the end, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.